have our two front and back covers assembled. And they go this way, as if the book was open flat. So now what we want to grab is we're ready for the center spine, which looks like this. And to do that, we could set these little covers aside for now. And we want to work with our spine piece. So I have a guide for this. Looks like this, just two thin strips in the middle. And it is the exact same size as your spine. So similarly to what we did with those covers, is we want to transfer this guide onto the back of our spine piece. So we're just going to make two little tick marks. And by that I just mean, you know, two little dots or dashes or whatever you want to put there to mark it so that you can connect them later. Okay, we can set that guide aside. And we're just going to connect our marks. And what we're drawing are the gutters, which is the space between the spine and the cover that helps it to fold, helps your book open and close. Otherwise, it would get kind of sticky and not be very fun. Okay, so I've transferred my guide onto my spine, which, if I'm looking at it right side up, actually goes this way because this piece goes on the front. I mean, I suppose you could put it on the back if you wanted, but let's not go there. All right, so we want to grab our spine piece. We can flip this over. Want to grab our spine piece, and what I'm realizing is we need guide marks, top and bottom, on that. So what we can do is, the spacing that I've used is consistent along all of your things. So the length is the same. So what I want to do is I want to know, basically what I'm doing with the guide is I want to know how to center this. I want a line right here so that I know that this board butts up against that line up here, and the line that I've drawn down here matches where this spine ends down here. So I'm just going to take my guide and make tick marks similarly to what I did on that cover piece. And this is the same guide that I used for the covers. So we're still using this. And I can connect those marks. This is actually going to help me center my cover boards as well. All right. So now what we've basically done is we've drawn off the area where we want our spine to be placed. and you can see the top and bottom of my spine match up with the top of this line and this with the line up here and the bottom line down here. And then our covers, the way they get attached is they get attached lined up with the spine. So basically these areas between here and your edge and this first line here is where the cover is going to get attached to. But let's deal with the spine first. So now we've got a guide transferred onto the back of our paper, and we're going to put some adhesive on the spine. I have one of these scrap papers that I love so much. So I'm just going to take this. Ooh, sticky, sticky, sticky. Very sticky. And just line it up on there. And trim off my overhang. And then I'm left with this, which is all nice and covered. And I can burnish. And now I know how to align this. So I kind of like coming at it from an angle and lining up from my left to right. It just is easier than trying to do it top bottom. And if I'm coming at it with an angle, there's a little bit of forgiveness in that adhesive. I can move it around slightly. And I think that looks pretty darn good. Finish it down. Okay, so this is where it can start getting a little tricky, and maybe I should have not said anything and just said, well, you know, never mind. Let's just stop talking. All right. So, our cover boards are going to go like this. So as you're laying this down, if this book was wide open, this is your front cover and this is your back cover. So when we flip it over, it's going to get flipped. And you just want to make sure that the edges, the edge that doesn't have anything folded over it on your covers is what goes over here in this area. Like that. So you can use liquid adhesive here, or you can use dry adhesive here. I think maybe I've tried both. I know that the Fabri-Tac dries very quickly, but the other thing that I found is that the double-sided tape doesn't like to stick as well on printing as it does on unprinted paper. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just use the Fabri-Tac, because I already know, you know, I don't have to worry about score tape. on that, and maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I will just use the Fabri-Tac. And you just want to make sure that you are keeping your Fabri-Tac out of your gutters. Once you start getting glue in there, it starts making your book difficult to open and close because it just wants to stick. So let's see. My only concern about using liquid adhesive on stuff like this are the edges, so I end up getting my fingers in there, which isn't necessarily ideal. But, you know, we're just going to go with it. So, this side is my front cover, correct? Yep. So what I'm going to do, actually I kind of like doing it this way, is I'm going to line it up this way. And with this, one of the things about using Fabri-Tac is you have a little forgiveness, you have a little time to kind of move things around if they're not exactly the way you want them to be. I think that is going to be fine though, the way I have that. So we're going to go ahead and burnish early. Alright. Kind of liking that, yeah. It's looking good. Okay, so I will repeat this on this side. Sometimes, you know, I forget how infinitely easier it is to just use liquid than to futz with that score tape. But, you know, like I said, they have their times and uses. Alright. Just want to make sure I get those edges. Cold too. Okay, so my edge without the, and I want to make sure that I got this right side up too, which I do. Okay. So, oh, I like doing it this way. Alright. And we're just going to place this down. Actually, a little bit of glue in that gutter that I just want to. That's gonna work out great for us. Burnish that down. And if you get some, if you're using Fabri-Tac and you get glue that kind of seeps out, it's kind of like rubber cement in that it will just kind of peel up. Just kind of rub it off. It works fairly well. All right, liking that. That was easy. Okay. So now I'm going to put adhesive here and here, but remembering not to go inside those gutters. So to give me a little more precision, I'm going to go with the score tape on this. this a little score. Along your spine and your covers to kind of help that flip up a little easier. Also do the top one too, right? All right. Peel up my backing. And flip it up. Score that a little bit, maybe kind of flatten it against my edge. Up. Yeah. Okay. At this point, if I had used dry adhesive on these covers, I would probably be folding it over about now, but I kind of want to give this a little time to dry first, and it really isn't going to take very long, but I like to give it a couple hours maybe. You know, maybe I'll go less than that this time. I don't know, but for now, I think I want to just leave it as is, but we do have the beginnings of our book, and we can set this aside for now, for a few minutes anyway, until we get ready to adhere our side panels. So we can grab those next. You've got your side panels and your two side covers. And I think I'm going to do this one first. And we want a spine. So we're going to need that. And we're going to need this again, this little guide thingamajiggy. Okay, so the places that have like the triangles, this is meant to face out or be on the open side of your board. So if it's adhered to your board's going to go like that. So your spine side is on the right. I'm going to try and make this as clear and not confusing as possible, unconfusing as possible. So if I know that my two little corner things want to go out toward the open side of my panel, then I know the opposite side is going to be where I want my spine. So this part right here is the spine alignment guide. So in order to align this is going to need to get flipped over, and then this becomes a left panel spine alignment or a left side spine alignment. So I want to flip my guide so that it lines up with my left edge. And basically I'm going to transfer my guide just like I have. I'm going to use I want the two gutters on here. And this is the same size. Your guide is the same size as your cover panel. two gutters. And then I also want to know where to center that board. So I want this whole guide on here. I want the top and bottom marks. And I want these, so everything. I could have done this at the same time as the other one. Well, so basically you can just see I'm lining up my guide with my paper and leaving an overhang. My cover on the back is kind of overhanging a little bit so that I can make a tick mark on it that's lined up with my lines. And then set the guide aside. Now I want to connect my marks. So that's going to tell me where everything should get placed. I might as well do this one too while I'm here. Alright, so basically you can see that I have the same marks on here as I do on here. Just going to make this a whole lot easier. Alright, I know that this is supposed to go this way. So I'm going to put some adhesive on my spine. That's kind of an easy peasy one right there. And I'll just go ahead and grab some score tape for that. Burnish it, although this is so small. Scooshy bit of overhang there. Okay. Just going to remove the backing. And I'm just going to place this where my spine is indicated, just right in between those two little thin slivers. Okay. It's going to go that way. Alright. Now, my side panel is going to get lined up in this big area here. But it's helpful to know, exactly where I need to place that so that my things fold down nicely and whatnot. So we can just grab our double-sided tape and one of the things that I like about these panels is that they fit on this tape. So this is close as we can. All right. My backing. And then I like doing it this way. Come at it at an angle. Make sure I'm lining it up in between my two right-left marks. That looks pretty good. All right, and it's down. Okay. At this point, I can cut these off. And the purpose of these is to make sure that you have a nicely wrapped corner. I didn't want you to have to worry about what angle to make it at or how wide to make it or anything like that. It's already done for you. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to be perfect every single time you do this. So I usually like to fold the side panels up first, and there's some tricky things going on there. So just do that. And I'll put some adhesive on that. And I guess what's helpful too is these little triangle parts. Maybe I should have told you that on the other one too. These little triangle parts, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see I've got a little triangle right there that's kind of drawn off, and it's a result of me drawing my guide on there. I don't like to put adhesive there. I think the corners fold better without adhesive there. You can certainly do it if you so desire. I've just decided that I don't really like it. So I am going to lay my adhesive between those marks. And since I can't really use my blade to cut that piece off, I will just go ahead and use my scissors. Oh, cute. Well, kind of did anyway. But it doesn't overhang it by that much. So, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. And then I'll just cut off any extra that I don't need. There's that. want to go carefully when you're trimming so close to your cardstock. It's very easy to slip and start cutting your paper. Fortunately, these are areas that will get covered up, so it's not gonna affect the aesthetics of your work. Really? Okay. Peel that up, and I think I already scored it, right? And I've got that present thing, so you know when you're wrapping a box and you have the wrapping paper gets folded down, and these are tiny compared to the other ones. Okay. So now I want to grab this thing, and this is going to get glued onto your front and back cover. Because it's the printed side, I'm going to go ahead and use the Fabri-Tac for that. However, you'll notice that we have the guide printed on this side instead of this side, but that is okay. I find that it's still useful printed on this side. So what we can do to get around the question of where do we apply the adhesive is we're going to score it. Set that aside for a minute. And we're just going to go right up to that last gutter line. And we're going to score, but we're not going to score all the way down. We're going to start where our spine board ends, or where it starts up here. So from one end of the spine board to the other, and don't go past that. It's really, well, yeah, I guess you would need to, wouldn't you? You would need to. Never mind. Just score all the way down. So then you want to fold it up. I'm going to fold it up this way. And you might want to give this a little fold too. So let's just score this side. So I find it's probably really going to help. Because we don't want adhesive there either. So that's what I was talking about that. This side gets tricky. Okay. And then we can just flip these a little bit. Just gonna flip them up. Because basically we want the crease. That's what we're after right now. We're after that crease to show us where to apply our adhesive. Okay. So I basically want to keep that Fabri-Tac in this area between these two flaps and between my crease and the edge. I know it just gets convoluted, doesn't it? But because I'm gluing print to print, I know that the score tape has a little bit more difficult time sticking. So I'm going to go ahead and use Fabri-Tac here. And at least this is kind of kind of, it's a lot more forgiving. So, and I'm going to get my fingers in there. Because I prefer to have my edges adhered down. So, all right. So here, I can use my guides to kind of help me line this up. And I know it goes, you know, between these two lines. Just flip this over. And I want to go right up to that crease, so, you know, feel free to do that kind of thing. That helps. All right, I think that's going to work. So then I can just burnish this down. And I can move on to folding my top and bottom flaps up and down. So yeah, let's do that. I'm going to grab my score tape again. And not going to put my tape in those gutters at all. Piece of this. Oh yeah, that works. And then I'll put a piece of this in here, right where that gutter is. And trim. Repeat on the other side. And I can remove my backing and fold up. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Backing sticks to my tape, and I think it's because it's a little bit old. All right. to fold this spine over pretty soon because this is getting long. Okay, now we have a side cover. I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of try folding this. We're going to do the center spine. So basically what it is you're folding it right down that gutter, those little spaces between your spine here and here. And I'm tucking those cover, whoa, just went flying, man. Tucking my paper in there and slowly folding over. So I'm going to do the same with this side too, but it might start getting hard to see. And you can just kind of shimmy it a little bit. I think that works great. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then this side, we're going to do that same thing. And then I need to do it for this other part too. And then shimmy it carefully. So we basically just, we're making this so that it folds, it opens and closes easy. And we are going to be adding more paper to the inside of this, and we're going to be doing this again. So bear in mind. So see, you can see a little part of this that didn't get stuck down. So in cases like that, where I have areas that didn't quite adhere because the Fabri-Tac dried faster than I wanted it to, or I just didn't quite get it in the edges, is a toothpick. Works really well, and I just get in there and that should fix that. That part, this was going to get covered, so it's not imperative that you do something like that. I do just for peace of mind, to know that I took the time to do a good job and do quality work. All right. It's all in the details, man. They say the devil's in the details, and it's a detail that you miss that becomes your downfall. Okay, so that goes like that, and that goes like that. So, we can do our other side cover, which is basically, well, not basically, it exactly is done the same way, except in reverse. So what I might just do is do this on time lapse, because you can always rewind and go back and watch the building of this other side panel. So I can actually set the book aside for a minute. Grab your spine, grab your side panel, grab your cover, grab your guide. So set these aside for a moment. And I want to transfer my guide. And where's my spine? My spine is going to be on this side because I see my two corners. They face toward the open side, which means my spine is on the opposite side. So when I flip this over, my spine's going over here. And this is where I'm plunking my guide. It's going to be a right side spine align. this second panel on, the second side panel, and I can go ahead and slowly start to ease this closure little shimming to kind of relax that paper a little bit, and tucking my paper into that gutter. So the finished product, well, it's not finished, but so now we have a book. We have our outer book. That's what we got here. Alright.